Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Melissa Siegel. I'm a professor of migration studies, and this is a channel about all things migration. And today we are going to do a little update, an update on what the current situation of forced migration is around the world. My last video on forced migration, facts and figures, is a few years out of date now, so I want to bring you up to date with the current statistics that we have. So understanding where people are forcibly displaced, specifically, also where they're being hosted, where they're coming from, where refugees are being hosted. So when we talk about people who are forcibly displaced, this includes a number of different types of people, okay? So this can be refugees, so people who have gone across an international country border to seek asylum and have generally been granted refugee status, or they are in a refugee-like situation. So what is a refugee? Just as a quick reminder. So a refugee is a person who has, for example, fled war, violence, conflict, or persecution and has crossed an international border to find safety in another country. Now that is a very general definition of who a refugee is, but the legal definition of who a refugee is that is covered under the 1951 Refugee Convention is someone who is unable or unwilling to return to their country of origin owing to a well-founded fear of being persecuted for reasons of race, religion, nationality, membership of a particular social group, or a political opinion. All right, so this is the legal definition of who a refugee is. We do know, though, that there are plenty of people in refugee-like situations that have maybe not received this full distinction in countries. Now, again, as a quick reminder, who are asylum seekers? Asylum seekers are people who have requested sanctuary, but this has not fully been processed yet, okay? So, for example, an asylum seeker is someone who would like to have refugee status, but has not finished this status determination process, all right? There are some other distinctions, but I don't want to get too into the weeds here. So the data that I'm going to show you today is from mid-2024. That is the most updated international data that we have on forced migration. And what we see is that we have almost 123 million forcibly displaced people today. This is the highest number of people that we have seen since World War II. Now, these forcibly displaced people that I'm talking about right now, these are people who are displaced as a result of persecution, conflict, violence, human rights violation, or events seriously disturbing public order. So right now, I am not specifically talking about people who have been displaced because of environmental disasters, okay? And this number of almost 123 million people is made up of people who are refugees or in refugee-like situations, asylum seekers, so those who are still in the status determination process, and also people under other types of international protection, as well as internally displaced people, or IDPs. And internally displaced people are people who are moving for the same reasons, basically, well, in this case at least, moving for the same reasons as refugees, but they have not managed to make it across a country border. So they are displaced within their country, but just to a different part of the country, all right? And so if we look at these numbers right now, you can see that we have quite some differences here in who's internally displaced and who are refugees. What you can see here is that we have around 44 million refugees currently. These are people who, again, have been displaced then across a country border. And you can see how this has also been increasing over time. Now, we have even more internally displaced people. So we have a little bit over 72 million internally displaced people. Again, people displaced within their specific country of origin. And again, you can see here that this number has been increasing drastically over the last few years. Now, I think what's also important to understand is where these people are coming from, where they are being hosted, all right? I think there's often a common misconception about where refugees, for example, are being hosted. So 17% are hosted in low-income countries. Another 17% are hosted in lower middle-income countries. 37% are hosted in upper middle-income countries, and only 29% are actually hosted in high-income countries, which you can see here. So refugees are being hosted mainly in low and middle-income countries. 71% of refugees are hosted in low or middle income countries. At the same time, we see that it's really mainly neighboring countries that are doing the bulk of hosting refugees, okay? So around 69% of all refugees are hosted in neighboring countries, which makes sense because for many people, what they first do is really just spill over the country borders into countries in that same region, countries bordering the country that they are fleeing from. What we can also see is that the majority of people who are forcibly displaced are between 18 and 59, but there's also a large group that are children between 0 and 17. Now, if we look at the countries where people are coming from that are forcibly displaced, nearly 2/3 of all refugees under UNHCR's mandate and other people in need of international protection come just from 4 countries. And just to remind you again, UNHCR is the UN Refugee Agency, all right? So these top 4 countries are Syria, Venezuela, Ukraine, and Afghanistan, all having more than 6 million people currently displaced outside of the country. We also have a number of countries that are currently hosting these refugees. So the top 5 countries currently hosting refugees or people in refugee-like situations are Iran, Turkey, Colombia, Germany, and Uganda. Now, if we look at people who are forcibly displaced in general, so where are people who are forcibly displaced coming from? And I mean here now both across country borders and within countries, we see that Syria, Sudan, Afghanistan, Ukraine, Congo, Venezuela, the Palestinian territories, Colombia, Somalia, and Yemen have the highest rates of displacement, with some of those countries having more than 12 million people displaced. That is both internally and internationally. So the largest regions where displacement is coming from are the Middle East and North Africa, and the East and Horn of Africa, followed by Asia and the Pacific, the Americas, Europe, West and Central Africa, Southern Africa, and then a few others that are perhaps unknown. Now, if we turn our attention specifically to the hosting areas, now the hosting areas look pretty similar because of also internal displacement. So there again, we have Sudan, Syria, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Colombia, Ethiopia, Yemen, Turkey, Afghanistan, Somalia, and Iran. And that is, of course, for forced displacement more generally. So that also includes internal displacement. Now, if we turn to look specifically at refugees, here you can see the trend in refugee displacement over time, just since 2000, and you can see how this number has been growing steadily over time. Now, if we look at the main countries of origin for refugees, so I already explained before, Syria, Ukraine, Afghanistan, South Sudan, Sudan, but also Myanmar, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Somalia, the Central African Republic, and Eritrea top out our top 10 countries. If we look again at where these refugees are currently being hosted, these refugees are in Iran, Turkey, Germany, Uganda, Pakistan, Chad, Russia, Ethiopia, Bangladesh, and Poland, all right? And of course, some of these countries are mainly hosting, for example, Ukrainian refugees. That would be in the case of Poland, where in Germany it's more mixed with Ukrainians, with Syrians, with Afghans, and others. In a country like Iran or Pakistan, it is mainly Afghan refugees. So it's a bit mixed in these different contexts. Now, I hope that has just given you a brief understanding of where forcibly displaced people are coming from, where they are also being hosted, and has hopefully busted a few of the common misconceptions about where they are currently being hosted. So they are often being hosted in the countries with the fewest resources to be able to host them. So if you want to figure out what can be done about these refugee populations and how we can find durable solutions for them and what these durable solutions are, you can check out my videos on the durable solutions here and also on why they're not working as well as we would like them to. I hope you found this video useful. Of course, feel free to comment down below, give this video a thumbs up if you found it useful, and make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of the videos that we upload on a regular basis on this channel. And I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.